Hello, it's T with Teresa H Creates, and I'm back for part 3 of my winter junk journal with the hidden spine. And today I'm going to work on the cover and also attaching the signatures to the chipboard, and then hopefully putting it into the book today. I may have to allow some drying time, but I'm going to remove my signatures for now and set those aside. I do have what I'm hoping to put. This, I think, is what I'm going to kind of tear up and put on the cover. I'm not 100% on that, but I believe so. I'm going to set that aside. And I do think that I am going to use this paper to put on the inside here. We'll see in just a minute. I have my binding kit. And then I have some fabric that I think that I am going to put on the inside and outside of this book cover. Let me see. And then I grabbed some chipboard as well that I think that I am going to use for my binding. So I have a lot of chipboard in my stash. I ended up picking some up a long time ago from I think it was a Facebook haul that I had done, and they just had a lot of random chipboard. And I grabbed a few pieces, and I think that this is actually the perfect height. So I don't even have to do much cutting. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and measure this. I want it to go right in that groove right there, right in here in this part, right before you hit these little seams here. So it looks like 1 1/4. I'm sorry, 1 3/4. So let me go ahead and go 1 3/4. I'm going to use my guillotine that I have over here off to the side. Go ahead and cut. I'm going to do a little more than 1 3/4 and test that out. This is probably 1 7/8 right here. And then I'm going to start shrinking in from there. And then let's see. That actually fits in there really nice. I might shave off just a tad because I do plan on covering this. All right, just a tad. And I think that's good. That looks a little bit better. Yep, that looks a little bit better to me. Okay. So let's see, I need to get this prepped, and it's pretty loose, as you can see, and this spine here is actually pretty thin, and I think that I am going to use some of this bookbinding tape to go ahead and reinforce this. This is not a necessary step. I'm actually going to be putting some fabric in here as well, so that's actually going to to give it a lot of stability and a lot of support. But I have never done the hidden spine, so I think that I'm going to give it some additional support by putting this in here. And I'm not going to go all the way to the end. Just going to get it kind of close enough. I need to take a little bit more off. I just want to give it a little bit more stability. And if you don't have this tape, it is absolutely not necessary. You can use duct tape, washi tape, masking tape. I've seen people use painter's tape. That would also work. I just happen to have this. Well, I purchased it, so it wasn't like an accident that I have it. But I have it, so I'm going to use it. How about that? Okay. So let me put that in there. And it is sticky. Okay, I just wanted a little bit extra. That was all. So if you don't have it, not a problem. And it really just depends on, I think, your book. And like I said, there are other options that you can use. Let me move the rest of this. Oh, that is my chipboard. I'm going to move the rest of the extra chipboard aside, though. Let's see. All right. And then here is the piece that I want to go on the inside of these covers. I think, though, that it's going to be like exactly the right size. A little bit nervous about that. I do want to give it a torn edge look, though, so I'm going to use my straight edge. And I'm going to do some tearing. Yep. See, this is why I cut these larger ones in the first video instead of tearing these, because of that reason right there. When they're so close to the edge, you risk pulling the paper out. Okay. We'll work with it though. We'll work with it. I'm going to tear all of these edges. I just kind of want a little bit of a rough look on the edges. Okay. Let's see. Last side. All right. Get rid of all this scrap. And then I'm going to go ahead and tear it in half. So let's find the halfway point, because I know it's not long enough to go all the way across, and I don't want it to go all the way across anyway. Where is the bone folder? There it is. All right, line this up. Okay, there we go. And then let's see how this is going to fit. Oh, perfect. It actually fits perfect. I thought that it was going to be not long enough, you know, honestly. And now let's ink it up. I'm going to use the darker one on this. I'm going to use the Ground Espresso. I'm using Ground Espresso Distress Oxide. And I don't need to ink up in that center, because that part will be covered by fabric, and I need to keep that in mind. When inking up these edges, it really shows off the torn edge. So there are a couple of ways that this can be done if you're going to cover the insides of this with decorative paper. Since I plan on putting some of this fabric across the center here to make that spine a little flexible and to reinforce that, then you could apply the fabric first and then put the paper down. But in this case, I am going to put the paper down and then let the fabric overlap the paper, because I kind of want a little bit, I'm going to tear the fabric, and I kind of want that torn edge overlapping it. I want it to be a little bit rough. Hopefully that makes sense. And I don't know which way it went. I guess it doesn't really matter though. I think the shorter edge was over here. Okay. And then I am going to use, let's see, use my glue stick, I think, to put this down. So I have a Yoo-Hoo glue stick. Let me get my napkin here so I can wipe down some of that sticky edge. And let me put this on. There we go. The other side. I still cannot find my scraper. I had a scraper from my Cricut pack, and I used it to, you know, kind of push out the bubbles when I would put things down, you know, to flatten these out, and I've misplaced it. I had it when I was doing all of my Christmas projects. It's probably in my Christmas bin, one of the Christmas bins that I have. I need to go through and look, because I misplaced it and I can't find it, and I can't imagine that I would have accidentally tossed it, because it's, you know, it's pretty substantial. It has that flat end, but the rest of it's pretty hefty, so I can't imagine. And I don't throw a whole lot of stuff away. You know, most of it tends to be just little scraps. All right, just want to make sure that this glue does not stick to anything else. Okay, look at that. So pretty. All right, I'm gonna put my chipboard aside, and then this is the fabric that I'm gonna put on the inside. I like this red. It's red on red snowflake with a little bit of gold. And I do want a rough edge. So let me give it a snip. I've got quite a bit of this, so I'm gonna snip a larger portion of this off. I want a raw edge around all the sides. Let's do this. And I think that I do want it quite a bit shorter. So let me snip up here. Perfect. And I think about there, which is probably about an inch over. So almost right is where that, almost right where that little bald spot there begins. I can always get something else to cover it up, or I can just leave it. I don't know if once it's down, it'll bother me that much. I don't know. Let me get rid of all these strings. And I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac to put this down. I'm going to apply a generous amount right down the center. I'm going to get the center attached first. Then I'm going to take my little silicone brush and just kind of flatten this down. I'm going to use a silicone brush because, like I've stated in other videos, this is really strong. It's got a very chemical kind of a smell to it. And I could use my finger, which is what I do a lot of times. But I don't know. Something about that smell makes me think that that probably wouldn't be the smartest thing to do. So let me flatten that out. Now I'm going to go in on this side and apply some right down this edge. Again, I'm going to go in and flatten this out, get it nice and spread out so everything's covered. All right, bend this. Where is my bone folder? Get right in that groove. Make sure it's in there nice. Here we go. Now we'll get the other side. Someone asked me in comments, I think it was Carol. Carol, I believe you asked me in the comments what to do about Fabri-Tac when it gets too thick. And I've seen people use acetone, but I believe you have to go buy straight acetone, not like fingernail polish formulations. I think you have to buy like the straight acetone, and if you apply it in bits, like small amounts, it's supposed to help thin it out until you get the consistency that you want. I know that there are definitely channels that explain that. I have not actually done it before, so I wouldn't be the one to tell you how or how much, but there are definitely people who've done it and explain it. I believe Pam over at Paper Outpost, I believe I saw fairly recently that she had added some, and I don't know that it was a recent video of hers, I just saw it recently, but she was showing how to apply the acetone, how much to apply and how to apply it to the Fabri-Tac, and that way you can get it loosened up. So let's make sure I have got this in those grooves. And it looks good. Look at how we've already transformed this. I'm so excited. Okay, now I am going to set this aside and I am going to allow it to dry. Oh, you know what? I need to check this. I'm going to check this real quick just to make sure that after adding that fabric, it still fits in there nicely. That's why I trimmed it up a little bit. It still fits. Still fits. We're all good. Okay, I'm going to set it aside and allow it to dry. And while that is drying, we will work on this little chipboard piece where we're going to apply our signatures. So I want to cover it. And I was thinking I would use some of this scrap to, my only concern is that I've got that red, oh yeah. I like that. My concern is that it's not going to be long enough to cover the tops though, but I don't know that any of these would be. I like this as well. Okay, and then that's got some of that red in it. So let me move these aside. And then let's take a look. I really think I like the snowflakes. I think I'm going to go with that. Okay, I've got this trimmed up. My concern is that it's not actually going to, yeah, see, it's not quite long enough to wrap around the ends of this, but I can definitely make it long enough to wrap around the edges of this, so that's not a problem. And let me see. Let me put it down. I think I can still make it work. We might just have to piece it kind of. So let's put it in here and measure out. I'm going to do 1/4 of an inch on each side. So that, I'm sorry, 1/2 an inch on each side. So that's going to be about there. Okay, so now I have this piece that's left, and I think that I can just use small amounts of this piece to kind of just wrap it around like this, which is what I am going to do. Okay. Let me get my art glitter glue. I'm going to use the art glitter glue for this part as soon as I can make it come out. It's being stubborn today. I am using a fairly thick piece of chipboard for this. If you do not have thick chipboard, no worries. All you have to do is take any kind of cardboard box that you may have. So if you have like a cereal box or a pasta box, something like that, you can always use that and just cut your spine, your chipboard down to size. So just cut the box down to the length that you need to cover your spine. And then you just double it up, glue them together, and it will create the thickness that you need. So that's about as thick as this is, probably about the double the thickness of like a pasta or cereal box. All right, I am going to make sure that edge is on there nice, and then go to the other side. So you don't have to have any fancy tools, none of the fancy tools. Literally make it with what you've got at home. I just happen to have chipboard. If I didn't have this thick chipboard, I'd be using a cereal box or pasta boxes or cracker boxes, whatever you've got on hand to make this with. All right. Now I'll be able to wrap this around, and those edges are all covered. Looks good. All right. Put down a good amount of glue. I started this by going all the way to the end here, but I didn't go all the way to the end here because I am not going to go all the way to the ends. So Just remember that when you were applying your glue. And I know I didn't get them lined up quite right. I just needed enough to wrap around, so it wasn't a big deal. I just wanted to make sure no matter what I did, I would have enough. This side is not going to be seen, so it's not going to be it's not going to matter. I want to get in there right along that edge. I'm going to fold it. So I'm applying pressure and folding it down. I want it to be nice and tight there, wrapped around that edge. Use my bone folder as well. All right. And then I'm going to go along the edge of this with some glue. And then cover this. All right, same thing. I'm going to bend it. Make sure I've got that edge wrapped nice and tight. Use my bone folder to kind of help reinforce that. And on the other side. There we go. All right, perfect. Now we can make our marks where our signatures are actually going to go. Okay, this is the best way that I have found for me. I'm going to go ahead and find the center spots, the center lengthwise, and then the center widthwise. If this was just 3 signatures, it would be super easy to find my spots just by folding. But I have 4 signatures, so I am going to have to do a little bit of measuring, but this will still be super simple. All right. Now I'm going to measure it out. So I'm going to line up. This is my center spot here. I'm going to line that up on my grid right across there. Let me get some mint tape. This is just a low-tack tape. You could use masking tape, washi tape, whatever you have on hand. I get this mint tape from scrapbook.com, and it holds pretty good without tearing anything up. So just for reference purposes, this is my center spot. That's where the fold here and the fold across, that's where they intersect. So this is how I'm going to do this. I want to come in about 1/4 of an inch from each side, and I'm going to come in just a tad more just because it doesn't go all the way to the edge there. And I'm going to do it over here on the other side. And let me mark this spot. Now from the center, I'm going to go out 1/4 of an inch. So let me mark this spot. And let me mark. So then those are going to be the spots where I'm going to actually do my binding. I'm going to use these as a guide to punch the holes for my actual signatures. Let me use this over here. Like I said, I think we just came in a tad. I'm going right over that mint tape. It's fine. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Now I'm going to fold it one more time. And I could stop here. So if I open it up, I've got these sections here. This is where I would do my binding. I don't want them that close in. I want them a little further out. So I'm going to fold one more time. And then where that intersects, this part here. So I'm going to punch my holes here, 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 here. And then the center mark here, 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 here. And then these spots. Right? Okay. Clear as mud. I am going to go ahead and punch these holes. And then I'm going to make marks. So that way this doesn't slide around while I'm punching on that chipboard, I'm going to make marks on the actual chipboard piece and then punch through. I hope this is making a little bit of sense for you guys. Sorry if it's not. Line this up. That looked really off. That actually should come down to right there. And that's why I did it this way. All right. Now I'm going to punch my holes. Okay, and then make sure I can see them from the other side, which I can. All right, and I'm going to prep my signatures. I usually start with the last one first. I don't know why. I'm going to go through here real quick and just make sure they're lined up the way I want them, because some of these have shorter pages. And I don't want them like all the way down to the bottom. Let me move this one up a little bit. I'm going to move it up just a tad. Okay. That's why we always check first. I purchased this bookbinding set on Amazon about a year ago, maybe a little more. It's probably about a year ago. And I love it. Love it, love it. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in it. I don't have any affiliates with Amazon or anything like that. It's just something that I use. Okay, let me get this out. And I'm going to find where I'm going to make my marks. Measure this where I want this to be. That looks about even. All right. Now I'm going to punch my holes. Where is my awl? There we go. And I can see my holes on the back side. So it doesn't really matter, I guess, what color string we use. I'm going to use this dark brown that I've got in here. This is going to be wax thread, and I want to do 3 times the length of my book. And we have 4 of these, so I'm going to go ahead and cut 4. Oops. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 3 times the length to give us plenty of room to work. And I've got 4 of them. I'm going to set these aside. Let me grab my needle. The wax thread makes it very easy to thread this needle. All right, and this is the fourth signature, so I'm going to go right through that center, pull through, give myself a nice little tail, and we're just going to use the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. That's what's going on here. So I'm going to go into my first hole here on the chipboard, and then I'm going to go back up to the top, go through the top hole, and then do the same here. There we go. The head of that needle gets, there we go. Pull my tail a little bit. I've never had to do it this way. I've always sewn directly into the spine, so this is strange. This is a little bit strange. All right, let me give this a good pull. And I'm going to go through the bottom hole of this chipboard piece. The struggle is real. All right, and then I'm going to go back up through the center. You have to be really careful that you don't go through the thread that's already there. So I'm just kind of holding it aside because I think that when I first did that, I was going through the thread that was in there, and you don't want to stitch through. You won't be able to pull your strings tight if you stitch through that. So again, on this side, I'm going to pull this tight to the side so that when I go back up through here, I don't stitch through it. And there we go. I'm going to pull tight. And let's see. Is it loose anywhere? I don't see any strings hanging anywhere where they've gotten bunched up or anything. I'm going to pull tight, pull the other way, pull tight. It's not loose on the board. Okay. So now I'm going to tie, hello, right over left, then left over right. And there's my knot. I'm going to leave the strings for now. And this signature is attached. I am going to speed up the rest of this so that you can see me do this, but you don't have to watch it all in real time. And I don't know why I started with the last one and worked towards the first. It's just the way I like to do it. So I started with the 4th signature. You can see I've got room here on the edge, and then I've got plenty of room to attach my others. So I'm going to use the same process. I'm going to stitch in the other 3. Wow, that was a struggle. Man, sometimes it goes really well and sometimes the signatures just give you a hard time and things don't work in your favor. So I've felt this little spine here. Everything's on nice and tight. I've got room between the signatures as well. So I think that we're good, and I'm stalling, but I need to go ahead and get this glued in. So let me make sure that that is the right side. That is the correct side. And then I kept having to double check because I was worried that I was stitching these in upside down, which is also something that I have done before. So, and then you just have to pick it up and redo it. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac because I've got that fabric down on the spine, and I am just going to be really, really generous with the glue. Very, very generous. I really want this to stick really well. And I'm also a little nervous just because I have never used this method before. And I'm worried about it just, you know, popping out or whatever. I am going to use the silicone brush, and I am going to make sure that this is just fully covered. I'm going to go right off the end there because I just want to make sure it goes all the way to the edge. And then I'm seeing gaps here. There we go. I completely missed this spot right there. I think that it's good though now. All right, I don't want it to dry on me, so I'm going to put it in. Oh, moment of truth. All right, hopefully this is lined up correctly. I don't want it over the edge. Oh my gosh, it looks perfect in there. Okay, now I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to work it in. All right, I'm going to press on these sides here to get that down. Then I'm going to go in between here, between these signatures, and press as well. If I can find the in between. Come on. Right here, I'm going to press here as well. And let me find the in between. Okay. I think it's in there. I'm not seeing any gaps here at the top or here on this side. So I'm going to press it a little bit here. I'm nervous, not going to lie. Look at how perfectly it fits though. Oh, I couldn't have even chosen a better book, and I pulled it off the shelf because it was one of two that I had ready to go, and not thinking that it would actually fit, and it fit perfectly. So in part 4, I will come in and do the topper. I'm going to put some fabric around this, some of the same snowflake fabric on that side, and then go ahead and stuff this with all the little goodies that I have from my Fussy Cuts collection that went with this this kit. So there we go. And I'm going to stop touching it. I'm going to allow it to dry and quit fiddling. Okay, quit fiddling with it. All right, I hope that you enjoyed this with all the good things that worked right and then the things that didn't work right. Hopefully it just shows you that even someone with experience at doing these signatures, sewing these in, it can still be a struggle. So don't be discouraged to give it a try. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section. I'll be sure to answer those. And until next time, bye.